Now at 9, a Joplin teen is killed in a weekend crash. Plus, Kansans react to a proposed constitutional amendment that would require sheriffs to be elected. And we'll hear from a woman who walked across the country to raise awareness of missing and murdered Indigenous women.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dow Quick. We're expecting a hard freeze across the area tonight. Let's go straight to Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy.
Yeah, this is going to be our first frost and freeze across the region as temperatures are really going to dip off as we go through the overnight hours tonight. In fact, today we could barely warm up, a high of only 55. We started at 35 this morning, so we made a run at our first frost. Average high is 70 degrees, but we have freeze warnings in effect all night long into the morning hours tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow night's even going to be cooler than what we're going to see for us tonight. But clear skies. It's been kind of windy out there. Temperatures are dropping back. 39 in Stockton. We have 41 Monette, 46 in Miami. Iola is sitting at about 37 degrees and a little windy all day. Still, we got that northerly breeze at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. By morning, down to about 28, 30 at 6, 31 at 9. Look at this, 41 by noon, a high temp of only 48 degrees. We do a turnaround here later this week. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
See you then. A Joplin teen is dead after a car filled with juveniles crashes near Grand Falls. Happened shortly before midnight Saturday night near Deer Drive and Dove Drive in Joplin. Officers at the scene found 2 of the teens ejected from the vehicle. One was pronounced dead at the hospital. The other had only moderate injuries. 2 other occupants suffered minor injuries. The midterm election is less than a month away. There are a multitude of issues on the November ballot for Kansans. KOAM's Jalen Banks explains one ballot question that could impact your local sheriff's elections.
The midterm election is just weeks away. One issue on the ballot in Kansas is Constitutional Amendment Question 2. David Groves, Sheriff of Cherokee County, had this to say.
The passage of this amendment enshrines the right for citizens to elect their sheriff in the state constitution, which means that right is given and cannot be taken away. Where since it's currently not in the Constitution, the ability to vote for a sheriff can be taken away. And we want to make sure that Kansans have the ability and the right to vote for their sheriff for generations to come.
Some Kansans believe the right should stay in the hands of the citizens.
In my honest opinion, I feel like us as a society should be able to have that input, just based on like how we feel as, for them as sheriffs, and then also as us as a society and how they help us.
Philip Wesley of Riverton, Kansas, has some hesitations.
I feel that they should have been appointed a long time ago. That's just my feeling.
Why exactly do you feel that they should have been appointed?
Because a sheriff can be a sheriff for years, many years to come, and it shouldn't be like that. Times change, so why come the sheriff can't?
In Southeast Kansas, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
Those midterm elections are November 8th. A key deadline is even sooner in Kansas. The deadline to register to vote in the Sunflower State is tomorrow. Registration deadlines in Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas have all already passed. The city of Joplin today played host to some tourists from the state capital. More than 30 members of the First Baptist Church Choir from Jefferson City were in town to visit Mercy Park and the Rotary Clubs of Joplin Sculpture Garden. The group also performed at the park.
That music has a way of reaching to them, and they can recall those old hymns, the words to them, and sing along. And so we just always pray that it's a blessing to them for that time. And
the choir is headed to Bentonville for more activities and performances. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another 4-state hero. Ernest Dunbar served in the U.S. Army from 1952 to 1954. The Hallowell, Kansas native was a member of the military police, and we salute Ernest Dunbar, a 4-state hero. Doug is up next with a complete look at that cold forecast, and later in sports, after moving to 7-0 on the season, Pitt State moves into the top 5 in the national rankings.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a chilly day today. High temps only into the mid-50s during the afternoon, which is well below where we should be for this time of the year. Plenty of sunshine. We still have clear skies for us right now. Nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. But look at the freeze warnings in effect all night long into the morning hours till about 10 a.m. Then we will be above the freezing mark. But this is our first really frost and freeze. So, of course, the plants, bring them inside. If you get a chance, unscrew the hose to the spigot on the side of your house, as of course you don't want it to freeze. Look at our temps. We're about 15 degrees cooler right now than what we had at this time last night. And we had a cold start this morning. Most of us dropped down into the mid-30s, and then we warmed up through the morning hours into the lower 50s, most of us mid-50s for afternoon highs. Of course, we backed down over the past few hours. 39 in Greenwood. We're sitting at 40 in Neosho, 41 in Miami, Yates Center at 40, 42 in Nowata. So it's chilly. We're going to continue to drop off as we go through the overnight hours. At least the winds are dying down a little bit. Still a light northerly breeze, but not as bad as what we had earlier today. 41 northerly winds at about 5. Humidity is low at 35%. Of course, we're into fall now. So if we want to check out fall foliage, areas that have already peaked, of course, the Rockies up into the northern parts of the U.S., but we will peak around here in the next couple weeks. Usually the second half of October is when we peak, even into the beginning of November. So at least we got that heading toward us. Clear skies right now. Not too much is going on across the entire Central Plains. We're still dealing with this storm system up across the Great Lakes. So this is a strong upper level low, and what it's doing is it's pulling that cold air in from Canada and keeping us kind of chilly over the next couple days. Out to the west, one little wave across New Mexico. This will shoot to our south. Besides that, there's not a whole bunch going on, so our weather is going to be overall pretty quiet the next few days. We just have to deal with the cold mornings. 29 at 7, 41 by noon. By the afternoon, 46, high temp, only 48 for us tomorrow. So a cold start, clear skies by morning. We're going to have plenty of sunshine once again. We're going to warm up right around 40, 41 by noon. And then I think most of us will top out only into the upper 40s. 48 in Nevada, 48 in Miami, 46 in Neosho, 48 in Chanute. Then tomorrow night, even colder. We drop down into lower 20s, so even a harder freeze by the time we head into Wednesday morning. 48 tomorrow, 57 on Wednesday, alert days due to the couple of freezes. Back to 71 on Thursday, 80 on Friday, 81 Saturday and Sunday. Mainly dry this week. We are going to get some thunderstorms in here by Monday of next week, which will be very welcome.
We certainly need the rain, and boy, those temperatures are all over the place.
Yeah, they really are.
Thanks, Ty. A Navajo woman on a quest to raise awareness for missing and murdered indigenous people made it her goal. Washington, D.C. KOAM's Carrie Worthen first spoke to her when she was in the 4 states and now has an update.
Seraphy Warren walked from Sweetwater, Arizona to Washington, D.C. to bring awareness to missing and murdered indigenous people.
So it was definitely a spiritual walk. I never had any experience in that before.
Warren said she started out with safety in mind, utilizing her supplies and focusing on what she can and can't eat to fuel her body.
Understanding the pains, the prayers, utilizing the herbs that was given to me, just making sure that I get there with protection that was given to me when I left, which was like corn pollen and arrowhead. My prayer staff, my traditional outfit, and then prayers, being taught how to pray.
Each day she walked, she put a ribbon around her prayer staff to show the name of the person she was walking for.
So every time I walked for a family member, I added their names, and then I'd ask if they want me to write a message for them on it for me to carry. Why I'm walking, even though it was the same prayer, the reason for it is because I wanted to make sure my heart, my mind, and my thoughts are all the same.
Sunday, October 9th, Warren arrived to Washington, D.C., but her arrival didn't meet her expectations.
I felt like I needed to make sure that was clarified when I get there, to know I was talking to human without job titles, without education skills or anything, because going through this, that doesn't come into play, because most of the things that we learned during this walk, it was simple. I just thought somebody was just going to be like, you go get what she's asking for, the ATVs. We're going to be down there on the 13th of next month, and we're going to do the search, and we're going to have everybody come. That's kind of like thought that I had, but I guess they have other ways they handle that stuff, and that to fact check some of the stuff that I brought.
It took Warren 4 months to walk the roughly 2,375 miles to get to Washington.
There is no way I want to be praised for something, for what I did. I did it in honor of each and every family that's been going through this, and knowing how much pain they go with every day.
I'm Carrie Worthen, KOAM News.
Warren is still accepting funds to create a search and rescue team and to give supplies to families who want to still continue searching for their loved ones. You can find more about trailing LMA on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. Coming up, Election Day is getting closer.
Control of Congress is on the line, and candidates out on the campaign trail are making it clear what's at stake. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. I'll have a closer look coming up.
The midterm elections are quickly approaching, with ballots in the mail and early voting underway in some areas. Reporter Lauren Blanchard is in Washington with more on the state of the race.
Candidates are full speed ahead on the trail in their states, while political heavyweights are crisscrossing the country to campaign. Former President Trump is planning a rally in Texas this weekend. The White House is hinting at a robust schedule for President Biden.
He's been on the road nonstop, and he will continue to be on the road nonstop.
Former President Obama, who voted early Monday, is scheduled for events with congressional and gubernatorial Democratic candidates this month. For Republicans, they are doubling down on the economy and other hot-button issues.
I think that what you're going to see is people are going to vote on inflation. They're going to vote on crime in their communities.
New Fox News polling shows 78% of voters believe the economy is only fair or poor. Compared to the beginning of President Biden's administration, more than half say their family financial situation now is worse. Democrats know the issue is hurting their candidates.
I think inflation is real. I think it is one of the issues that is going to decide how people vote in November.
But Democrats say there are other issues that will sway voters to back the left.
There is a lot at stake when you think about the national ban on abortion that Republicans, extreme Republicans want to do, taking away the rights of women.
An AP NORC poll found these midterm elections are being taken seriously. 8 in 10 people say it is extremely or very important that they vote this year. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Still ahead, an easier way to buy a necessary medical device.
The FDA says you cannot buy over-the-counter hearing aids, a move aimed to lower the price for millions of Americans with mild to moderate hearing loss. I'm Malda Rivera in Washington with how this can affect consumers, coming up.
Allowing children who've suffered a concussion some screen time might help in their recovery. A new study published in the journal Pediatrics looked at more than 700 children ages 8 to 16 in the 7 to 10 days after an injury. Researchers found that symptoms cleared up the fastest for those who use smartphones and computers to stay connected for a moderate amount of time. They say the data shows blanket bans on screen time after a concussion may not be helpful for many children. For the first time, hearing aids are going to be available in stores and online without the need for a doctor's appointment. A new FDA rule aims to make the devices more affordable for Americans. But there are potential drawbacks, and consumers are urged to educate themselves before they buy. Reporter Madeline Rivera explains from Washington.
In a potentially game-changing move, hearing aids are now cheaper and easier to get. Starting Monday, Americans with mild to moderate hearing loss can buy hearing aids at a store or online without a prescription or a medical exam.
This is going to set the hearing aid industry on its ear, so to speak. There's going to be a lot more competition. It will drive down prices.
On average, prescription hearing aids can cost between $1,000 to $4,000, making them out of reach for patients like Steve Roche. The 69-year-old musician and sound engineer has been diagnosed with hearing loss.
I had committed to an expensive pair and then rethought my position.
Now Walgreens is selling devices for about $800 a pair. Hy-Vee and Walmart are selling over-the-counter products online and in certain locations nationwide, with prices ranging from $200 to $1,000. And CVS and Best Buy are offering items online too.
I'm probably going to let the market shake out a little bit, decide where it's going to go.
The FDA made the historic decision in August after President Biden issued an executive order last year calling on the agency to take steps to allow hearing aids to be sold over the counter.
That is going to benefit as many as 30 million Americans.
Still, medical experts say it is important to see a doctor if needed.
You want to have the ear examined. Ideally, you get a hearing test to make sure you fall into the criteria.
Doctors are also warning people to pay attention to the product's trial period and return policy and make sure they know what they are buying. In Washington, Malta Rivera, Fox News.
Up next, you're going to learn how researchers found a way to introduce smells into virtual reality.
Shape technology.
Virtual reality might be a step closer to real life. Swedish researchers at Stockholm University have developed a new technology letting you smell different scents and odors in the virtual world. The scent machine, called an olfactometer, uses valves connected to a channel with a fan sucking air into a tube. A computer can give commands to open and close 4 channels to create different scent mixtures. A game researcher at another university says it might pave the way for more active smell-based games based on players' moves and judgments. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. How applying for a $500,000 grant could help the city of Joplin connect 2 of its parks. Plus, we're going to check out a project in Joplin to recreate the city's landmarks using Legos. Joplin City Council tonight voted to apply for a grant that would help pay for a trail to connect Landreth and Dover parks. That $500,000 grant would come from the state's Land and Water Conservation Fund. The city would have to match at least 50% of it. The deadline to apply for that grant is November 16th. Council also approved a proposal to add a Top Golf-style attraction to the city. It would be added to the Rangeline Golf Center in addition to the 9-hole course and putt-putt courses already there.
We're in the preliminary stages of the development. Of course, the property owner and potential owner of Top Golf actually got the property rezoned for that type of use. So right now we're just waiting on the design of and submittal of the building plans.
New members of the city's finance committee were also appointed. The committee will review the city's finances and look for a long-term solution to wage and retention issues in the police and fire departments. This change comes after voters rejected a property tax increase to pay for those wage increases. The Jasper County Sheriff's Office today recognized the hard work of its employees. The sheriff hosted a ceremony to introduce new employees while also taking time to recognize employees who went above and beyond.
Well, I think it's very important for us to recognize the people's decision to go into law enforcement and to serve our community in this way. And so we just want to take this time out to recognize not just the exceptional work, which we do through the ceremonial part of it, but also just to recognize the choice that people make to come and serve in the community through law enforcement.
Ceremony was also used to announce promotions for some employees. Some Joplin teenagers will soon start rebuilding Joplin's landmarks for Lego projects as they participate in a program called Iconic Joplin. KOAM's Yana Hautala talked with officials about the program as they were taking applications for the competition.
If you could build a local landmark, what would you build? It all started from a discussion that Lisa Nelson had with her son.
He looked at me and said, "I don't really know of any." And I thought, oh, well, okay. Yeah, people don't teach local history at any age.
Nelson came up with the idea to use Legos, engineering, and STEM practices as a way to help teenagers discover careers by building landmarks with Legos. She says the age group of 12 to 16-year-old middle schoolers are a crucial audience to reach.
To understand what they're interested in and give them some exposure to how they can take those interests in math and science and engineering and tech and what those careers would look like so that they can start to, in high school, create their path, whether that's to college or to a trade.
Teams of 8 will work in either public library, museum, or Creative Learning Alliance office. Teams will have a specific amount of Legos and a budget to purchase special pieces for their projects. Each team also gets to interact with professionals.
There's going to be different categories within each team, things like promotion, things like historian, things like recorder, all of those things. So it could be that a student would find a passion they didn't know they had within the project, and I hope that they do.
The teams can choose landmarks, even ones that used to exist, such as the Connor Hotel. Teams also have an opportunity to envision a future state for a landmark. This could give the city of Joplin some good ideas for what the next generation wants.
We get sort of used to doing the same thing over and over again, and through the eyes of kids, you can see things in whole different kinds of ways. And so, yeah, I would love if the city kind of came up with some of the ideas if children choose future projects and decided to see what they could do to make those a reality.
Sometimes it takes the youngest minds to reach back into the past to provide the building blocks for the future.
That competition is going to begin in December as teams gather together and start planning their projects. Deadline and judging for those projects, those are going to be in June of next year. You can now apply for student loan forgiveness through the Biden administration's plan. The Department of Education has launched a beta website for the application, with a full launch coming later this month. The application can be found at studentaid.gov. Under President Biden's plan, millions of Americans will be eligible for forgiveness of up to $20,000 worth of student loans. Abbott Labs is recalling some of its baby formula. The company is recalling certain lots of its 2-ounce ready-to-feed liquid formula due to a problem with bottle caps. The tops might not have been sealed completely, and that could cause the formula to spoil. Most of the affected products are distributed primarily to hospitals and doctors' offices. Affected lot numbers can be found at similacrecall.com. If you're planning a holiday vacation, your wallet might take a heavy hit. Airfare prices are already soaring as airlines prepare for the busy travel rush. Reporter Grady Trimble is at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago with what Americans can expect.
Right now, prices are sky high, and they're only going to keep climbing as we get closer to Thanksgiving and Christmas. The travel booking app Hopper says about half of Americans are worried about how expensive airfare will be this holiday season. So let's look at the prices. We'll start with Thanksgiving. The average domestic round trip this year for Turkey Day, $274, up 19% from a year ago. If you wait until the last minute, you're going to pay a lot more than that, well over $450. For Christmas, tickets are going to be even more expensive. Hopper says airfare will be the highest it's been this Christmas in the past 5 years. Domestic round trip average, $390, an increase of 40% from last year. There are a number of factors contributing to these higher prices. For one, the cost of jet fuel is up more than 50% from a year ago. Staffing shortages are still plaguing the aviation and airline industry, forcing mass delays and cancellations over the summer. And there are worries, especially from the airline unions, that more could happen this winter. Airlines have been flying fewer routes, cutting back to try to avoid those problems, but demand is still extremely high. Many Americans are expected to travel this Thanksgiving and Christmas for the first time since the start of the pandemic. The bottom line is, if you are looking to travel on either of those holidays, book now. Right around now, mid-October, is the sweet spot, the experts say, for finding the best deals. In Chicago, Grady Trimble, Fox Business.
A bit later, a new way to get your steak dinner.
Most steaks are cooked somewhere between rare and well done, but what about 3D printed steaks? I'm Ashley Strohmeyer with a look at why one unique product is popping up at restaurants around the world, coming up.
Well, it turned out to be a chilly day for us today. It's still chilly outside right now. Temperatures are dropping back fairly quickly across the region. Clear skies, nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, just outside Seneca, Missouri. But we're going to see the clear skies all night long. Freeze warnings in effect Haven't even had a frost really yet, so we just kind of bypass the frost right into the freeze. But everybody's going to drop down into the upper 20s, so fairly hard freeze across the region. Look at this, it's about 15 degrees colder right now than it was at this time last night, and it was cold. We dropped back into the mid to upper 30s early this morning, and we only climbed into the mid 50s during the afternoon, actually holding near 50 once you got over towards Springfield. 42 in Pineville, 40 in Lamar. We have 41 in Parsons, 42 in Nowata. We have Greenfield sitting at about 39 degrees. And at least the winds aren't as strong as what they were earlier today. We have northerly winds at about 5 upwards to 10 miles per hour, but it was pretty breezy earlier today. All right, 41 northerly winds at about 5. Humidity is fairly low, 35%. Clear skies across the entire Central Plains. But this is all caused from big upper level low across the Great Lakes. There's snow mixed in with rain, so all the colder air pulls in. Behind it, the cooler Canadian air. Now, this is going to be a recurring feature that we see in this pattern this year. So once we project this ahead into December, January, and February, these are going to be some pretty big cold snaps, kind of similar to what we've had the past couple winters. Not a whole bunch going on out to the west, so fairly quiet, at least for the next few days. 29 to start, 41 by noon, 46 by 5. High temp, only 48 degrees, so kind of chilly for us even tomorrow afternoon. Average high still near 70 for this time of the year. Upper 20s to start, we warm, lower 40s by noon, most of us upper 40s. That's it, 47 Lamar, 43 in Monette, about 48 in Independence. Then we cool down even more as we go into tomorrow night. We're going to start Wednesday near 20 degrees, so a super hard freeze. And then as we go into Wednesday afternoon, a little bit better, we'll warm back up to about what we were during the daytime hours today. But look at this flip. We go near 80 by Friday, about 80, 82 on Saturday. Then we get a storm system in here by Monday, late Monday, chances for showers and thunderstorms across the region. Until then, mainly dry, but at least we have that to look forward to. 48 tomorrow, 57 on Wednesday, 71 on Thursday, 80 on Friday. Pretty nice weekend. It's going to be warm, but temperatures right around 80 degrees.
That's crazy. 22 to 80, dry and wet, sunny and cloudy.
That's what we do around here.
I guess so. Thanks, Doug. A large wildfire in Washington, about 20 miles north of Portland, Oregon, has been burning for more than a week, and it's growing. It's only 5% contained, prompting widespread evacuations. Reporter Anna Aliopoulos has details.
The Nakia Creek fire near the Washington-Oregon border is burning out of control. The wildfire exploding in size on Sunday, blanketing the area with a massive plume of thick smoke. The blaze so far charring more than 2,000 acres. Fueled by unseasonably warm weather, high winds, and low humidity, the growing fire has already forced thousands to flee their homes. Thousands more remain on high alert.
It's better to be cautious than to have to go through ruins and dig out bodies.
More than 28,000 additional homes have been advised to be ready. Homeowners concerned they could be ordered to flee say the best course of action is to be prepared.
Make sure you have your gas, get your water, your supplies, anything that you might need to be gone for a few days. Clothing, blankets, essential documents.
Another concern for residents, air quality. Along with the Nakia Creek fire, at least 10 other large wildfires are burning between the Oregon border and Canada.
Our recommendation would be to limit your time outdoors. Try to find clean indoor air, stay indoors.
The Nakia Creek fire started on October 9th near Vancouver, Washington. Firefighters worked through the week to get a handle on the blaze, but they're now facing a bigger challenge after the flames crossed containment lines on Sunday. As crews continue to battle the spreading fire, investigators are working to determine what sparked it. In New York, Anna Aliopoulos, Fox News.
Coming up in sports, Colgan girls golf sits at the top of the leaderboard after day one of the state tournament. Plus, basketball is back. We're going to hear from the Pitt State women next.
Unite.
The basketball preseason is underway, and the Pitt State women have been picked to finish 8th in this year's poll. Pitt State returns its leading scorer in Tristan Gegg. She averaged 17 points per game last year. As a team, the Gorillas led the league in field goal percentage, but it was a tough end to the season. They finished with a 16-13 record.
Finishing 8th, I mean, we haven't been that low since I've been in college, so I was pretty upset about that. And we got some good people. I mean, I'm super excited for this year. Low in numbers, but like high in talent.
The girls have mentioned that, defense is where they really wanted to start this year as an emphasis. And so whenever that's the case, if that's your mentality, that's a good starting point. And then, of course, rebounding is always an important piece.
The AFCA coaches poll was released this morning, and Pitt State has cracked the top 5. The Gorillas jump up 2 spots to rank 5th nationally in this week's poll. Pitt State is coming off a dominating win over Lincoln. They dropped 49 points in the game, tying a season high. They're now 7-0 with 4 games remaining on the regular season schedule. Next up, Pitt State hosts Missouri Western for homecoming this Saturday at 2 p.m. Carthage battled to a huge victory over Joplin on Friday. The Tigers' 34-28 win on senior night is voted this week's Performance of the Week. 2 of the top teams in their classes put on a show on Friday night in Carthage. The Tigers blocked a field goal and returned it for a touchdown with 2.5 seconds left on the clock to win the game. Quarterback Cooper Jadwin threw for 228 yards and a touchdown. His favorite target, Hudson Moore, had over 100 yards and a score, while Luke Gall led the rushing attack with 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Carthage is 7-1 with 1 game remaining. The Tigers close out the regular season on the road at Willard. Today is the first day of the Class 3-1A state golf tournament, and the Colgan Panthers are currently in first place on the team leaderboard. Here's a look at the individual scores through the first round. Ali Skripsik shot 6 over par today for a score of 77. That's good for second place, 8 back from the leader. Ava Skripsik lands in 4th after day 1, shooting an 85, and Greta Eisen is in 7th. The 3 other team members are all in the top 15. The second and final round is tomorrow. That's a look at sports. We'll be back after this.